and the doctor said this: "Auntie, I'm so sorry to tell you, you have stage 4 lung cancer." That was the first time in my life I felt I had a time bomb in my life. And I asked the doctor, how many more months can my mom live? 6 months. 13 January, 6 o'clock in the morning, she was gasping for air. We knew her time was to come. I was there by her side. Just before she took her last breath, she held my hand. She let go, and she gave me one last smile. The smile of a motherly love. That was the time that I truly understand this one thing called urgency.
Hey guys, welcome to the Achiever Show, where our goal at the show is to bring to you some of the top entrepreneurs, leaders, high achievers as well, to share with you powerful ideas on your personal growth, from your mindset to your business, to your health, and also to your relationship as well. Now, I personally believe that knowledge itself is not power. Taking action is key. So our mission is to take complex ideas and to break it down into actionable steps so that you can start doing something and start seeing results in your own life. Now, there are many people right now who are struggling, especially in times like this. And during this time, there are also people who are performing even better than before. Now, this guest that we have for today, he has been extremely consistent with his results at work. And even during this pandemic, he is doing even better than before. And this guest of us, his name is Wesley Chan. Just a very quick introduction about Wesley. Wesley is a sales breakthrough coach where he has helped MNCs and also corporates to have breakthrough results in their sales and to grow their sales team. Having graduated as a chemical engineer, Wesley soon discovered that his passion was not in this field, but in the space of personal development and persuasion. So his journey of discovering about his passion and venturing into entrepreneurship has earned him a lot of different opportunities and even to be invited to become a multiple TEDx speaker as well. Today, with more than 10 years of experiences in training and also in speaking, Wesley has trained more than 150,000 individuals across 20 different cities. And today, we will be talking about his entrepreneurship journey and also the mindset that you need to have in order for you to thrive in times like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Wesley Chan. Wesley, welcome to the show. Right, so Wesley, let's just start off this session by you introducing a little bit about yourself and also what do you do as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. So my name is Wesley. So I'm a sales breakthrough coach. I'm very grateful to be a 3 times TEDx speaker. So like what you've mentioned, so I am in the industry of training, speaking, and coaching. I've been training for the past 10 years. I've trained more than 150,000 people along the years. And I'm very passionate in the area of sales, influence, persuasion, NLP, and that's what I do. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. So Wesley, if I read your profile right, you actually started off with chemical engineering and then you quickly realized that that is actually not something that you want. So which leads you to entrepreneurship, right? And through your profile, you actually said this. You came to a point whereby you were left with 80 ringgit for you to survive for the entire month. And share with us a little bit about that journey, because I think that is pretty amazing for you to actually go through that challenge.
Okay, thank you. That's very quick of you to jump to that. Okay, so what happened was I graduated as a chemical engineer, and I've got friends right there. David is like chemical engineer, same university. So I was a chemical engineer, and I used to work for a very short time in this company called ExxonMobil. So I was a process engineer, and after that, I decided that I want to pursue my passion, and I realized that I had a passion on speaking, training, and motivating people. So that was like my dream. All right. And I decided to take a leap of faith, and I resigned, and I wanted to pursue my passion. And I still remember telling my dad and say, "Daddy, I want to be a speaker." And he thought that I was crazy. So we had a very huge argument. In fact, I was chased out from my house, and he didn't like the idea. So after that, I had to pursue myself. All right. I still get to stay at home, but I had to really challenge all odds. So perhaps when you have a little bit of results, then the parents get a little bit more convinced. So during that time, I was really very struggling because all I studied was engineering. So I had to pick up skills in sales, persuasion, influencing people. And I still remember the time was, that 80 ringgit time was around 2016-ish that time, where started doing training for companies, but the cash flow was bad. So there was one time, I still remember I was in Kapong, where my hometown was. And I was at a traffic light, I was at a junction, and I decided to log into my Maybank to you because I wanted to just make some payment. And when I logged in and I saw it was only left with 80 ringgit, I was stunned, I was confused. I didn't even know how to survive past that month. I had car loans to pay. I didn't know whether I have enough money to even survive for that week. So it was really that bad. So that was a time that was perhaps my rock bottom. And it was only 80 ringgit in the bank account. I was fidgeting. I was very fearful. I was very scared. So that was like a total disaster in my life that time.
Right. So I'm just curious, how did you decide that going into like entrepreneurship, pursuing a passion, career in training, that is your passion? So how did you make that decision?
Wow. That was a very good one. I just took a leap of faith because I love speaking. I love training. I like studying about human psychology. I like sales and persuasion. And the junction when I make that decision is the time where I ask myself, what do I foresee myself in the next few years? Where, okay, I'm not saying that engineering is bad, but I had a more vivid, I have a more vivid visualization of me being a speaker, trainer, a coach rather than an engineer. So that's why I took that step and I made that decision. Even though I study as a chemical engineer, and it's not that I got very poor results. I think I did quite well. And yeah, I just took a leap of faith and I just did it anyway. Yep.
But then my question to you is that because you know previously that your passion is into speaking, right? So why did you actually pursue the chemical engineering degree at the very first place?
Okay, so I only found out my passion when I was in university. So what happened was, it was my second year in my university as a chemical engineer. I didn't know why we had this subject called PCS, Professional Communication Skills, or known as public speaking. So there I was in the final presentation where we had to present for 7 minutes in front of our classmates. And I still remember it was like 40 students and I was there. And my topic given was the law of attraction. I'm like, whoa, what is this all about, right? So it was a secret. Law of attraction is about thoughts become things. So, and I read through the book and I watched a video and I had to present that for 7 minutes in front of my classmates. So I still remember standing there and I say, being grateful in life. You must have a vision board. And at the end of 7 minutes, my lecturer stood up and he told me this one thing. He said, Wesley, if you fail to be an engineer, be a speaker. I was like, what? And his compliment became my enlightenment. So that was perhaps one of the initial moments that I thought that, hey, maybe can consider being a speaker. So that was perhaps a spark that happened to me during my second year.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think I can totally relate to you on this because for me as well, I never thought that I wanted to become a coach. And in fact, in my degree, I was actually taking up accounting and finance. So the reason why I took up accounting and finance is because I don't really know what I want at that time until it was like my second year. I found out about entrepreneurship, things like that. And then that was when I started my venture. So we kind of have a similar story there. So I know, Wesley, when you first start your business, right, when you first go into entrepreneurship, starting trainings as well, no one in the industry knows you. And I'm sure at that time, you are also not that experienced as well. So what are some of the challenges that you face when you go into that?
So I think perhaps one of the main challenges wasn't external, so it was internal. So like what you have said, so we had very similar background where we wanted to pursue our passion at a very young age. And what I did was I wanted to venture into training. So I pitched and say, hey, you know what? I got this training, can motivate, can enhance sales, communication. At the point of time, as much as I wanted to make a difference, but I realized that the one sabotaging was myself. So as much as I want to train and inspire people, I had huge self-limiting habits. One of the main ones was I always thought I wasn't good enough because I was young. So there was like an inner sabotage in my mind that was telling myself, hey, I'm too young to be successful. I'm not a good trainer. I can't train people other than me. Who am I to speak in front of people, and why should people listen to me? So there's total huge incongruence. Yeah, I want to do something, but I felt worthless, not confident enough, and it was as if something was pulling me back. So that was like what is stopping the most. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure right now, because when you first started your business, you said that you were left with 80 ringgit and also your self-confidence is not there. You are doubting yourself. So how did you actually get out of that situation?
Okay. So one of the things that I learned from my mentor and coach, and he always taught me this one concept called momentum. So and then I never learned it from a book. It wasn't through NLP courses. It wasn't through anywhere that I read. And he always remind me this one thing. So Wesley, if you are in sales, you will always remember is the power of momentum. So what's momentum? Momentum is like when you have that fire in you and the consistency that you have. So perhaps there was like a very strong principle that I uphold all this while, thanks to my coach. And we're watching this, Dinesh Kumar, you're here, just want to credit to you. And it's all about consistency. Even though you're happy, you have to do it. You are sad, you have to do it. Even though you have 80, 800, 8,000, 80,000, you have to continue doing that. Because action, right? So once you have action, action creates habit. Once there's habit, there's momentum, there are results. So it's all about having that consistency, that action, that habit that leads to the result. So even though there's 80 ringgit, objectively, I must tell myself, you know what? Temporary, tough times don't last, tough people do. So now my 80 ringgit, just keep going on. One more call, one more client, one more call, one more client. So perhaps there was like an inner principle that would have contributed to help me to come up from that time.
Okay, great. I think that's pretty amazing because just now you touched on like you need to take action and at the same time you need to have that consistency as well.
Yeah.
So to just like go through one day at a time. So at that time, right? I'm just wondering, what is your main purpose or what is your main drive that keeps you going every single day, even though things aren't working well for you?
Wow. My main drive. It was it is still an obsession with me that I wanted to train 1 million people by 40 years old. That's like the big dream. So I think immediately short-term purpose would be to make a difference in the people that I train and get to speak. So I live for the moment where I can be in a workshop, be in a keynote or a workshop. And I really like the feeling where people learn certain things from you and they felt that could change them, either in the way they sell, the way they think. And I like that. Perhaps if you ask me, that was the main driver that I had, even though I'm tired, exhausted, but I live for the moment when I see people walked out and they feel changed and inspired. So that was probably the moment I want to live for.
I think that's really, really powerful when you're able to find something that you truly want to do that gives you that satisfaction. I think that is really what drives you forward, which I think is extremely important for all of us here to have. So you see right now in this pandemic, there are many people who keep on telling you that you need to have a positive mindset. You need to have a strong mindset. Now, it's a very common sense thing for us to actually know that you need to have all these things, but how do you actually have that? Or how do you actually perform that to have that mindset?
Well, I think before we talk about having that mindset, it is really the desire that you really want to achieve a certain goal. So once you have that desire, you have a very strong grasp and you really want to achieve a certain goal that you have badly really wanted to hit. So once the goal is strong enough, it provides a direction, it provides a feel towards achieving that. So once you have a very strong goal, then you question yourself, do I really want it or not? So if you really want it, right, automatically the mindset would come into place. A lot of people might think, hey, Wesley, positive thinking is just about wishful thinking, right? So what use is that? I always believe in this. Positive thinking is not everything. But when you're positive, you will perform so much better than being negative. It doesn't mean that when I'm positive, I can fly to the moon tomorrow. Of course, we can right now. But it's not like you think. Tomorrow you wake up, you are rich. It's not just that. But when you're doing your calls, when you're doing your appointment, when you're positive, you have much better productivity and performance compared to when you're negative. So back to the question again. So I believe it's that strong desire of that goal first, well-defined, and you really want it, and you really want it, and you crave for it. Hence, that craving, that desire would create that resilient mindset that we talk about. Yeah, so that's my belief.
Right, I think that's really powerful. Number one is to have the hunger and also to have the desire to really get clear on your goals, and then the mindset comes later, right?
Yep.
So I'm thinking in terms of, let's just say right now, yes, I have a very clear goal that I want to achieve, but then things are just not working for me, right?
Yep.
Things are just not working for me. I'm not able to do well in my business or in my career as well. So when you are down at that moment, even though when you are clear with your goals, how do you actually pick yourself up and continue moving forward?
Now, the goal shouldn't change because the goal must be there. The approach will have to be changed. So, like, especially during this time where, of course, now we are living in pandemic. Now, the thing is this, we don't change our goal, but we change our approach, right? So once we change the approach, if it works, we repeat. If it doesn't work, we change. So this is called the law of flexibility. On NLP, we call requisite variety. So remain the goal, change the approach. Or some people say, be stubborn to achieve the goal, be flexible in the approach. So if it doesn't work, change. And I also think it's very important that we have to acknowledge that if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you fail. It's a feedback. All right, like we're all in NLP. So there's no failure, only feedback. So if it doesn't work, change, adapt. You gotta adopt, you gotta change, tell yourself it's okay, try again, change. And it's all about being adaptable.
And when we talk about knowing your goals and also changing your approach, how do you actually balance up between like not giving up and also giving up at the same time? Because like some goals, they really doesn't work. So how do you actually balance between these two things?
Well, that's a very good question. Now, okay, one of the things that I believe is that, right, of course, once you have a strong grasp of your goal, you develop a certain routine for it, right? So you break down your goal either half yearly, quarterly, monthly, right? You break down and you stick to the system. Goal is one. Goal is often a result of certain thing, right? The law of cause and effect. You close, let's say, X number of deals, you get X amount of money. So once you set the goal, you break it down and you work backwards and you commit towards the system, right? When you commit to a system, you commit a certain routine of it, right? So it's all about ability to sticking to it. And if you realize that, hey, you know what, Wesley, I think I've worked 3 months, 6 months, and my system don't get me close towards the goal, then it's time for us to revise. Like what I said, you either stay very stubborn with your goal, or you have to be practical and say, hey, you know what, Wesley, I think I've tried this for 6 months, 1 year, don't quite work. Why not I revisit the goal and I do my very best? Now, another concept that I strongly believe in this. Now, I'm not too sure whether I have a gauge, because to me, it's all about feeling whether you give up or not. But one of the things that I strongly believe is always to hit your personal best. For example, let's say, right? So if you hit your target is to hit 1 million and 1 million last year, and this year, maybe you want to hit 5 million, right? And you realize that, hey, I think 5 million is quite far. So what I recommend people to do is to always hit your personal best. At least you do better than what you've done last year. And the reason why I always encourage personal best is because if you can break your own milestone, if you can break your own limits, and if you can break your own achievement, right, you have a sense of conviction and the momentum in you. So I don't really have a thin line whether you give up or not. I think that's very subjective, but I think so long as you hit your personal best, I think that's more than important.
Yeah, so it's always about giving out your very best and also doing your best in what you can, right? So I think that is also something that I'm able to relate to as well, because in my badminton journey as well, I always wanted to become a national player at the very first place, right? So there was this point whereby I know I couldn't make it, so I need to call off the decision. Should I go into university or should I continue training? So from there, as I look back right now, I realized that it is actually not the goals that makes me happy. It's who I become in the process of achieving my goals that really makes me happy, and that itself defines who I am. That actually makes me stronger. So I think I really agree with what you have just said in your point just now. So I know right now a lot of people, they are actually struggling, right? There are a lot of people who are actually quite lost in direction, especially in their business when the COVID-19 hits. So, but then I know one of the person that has been performing extremely well. You are really consistent in what you are doing. What is your strategy to like be at the top of your game?
Yeah. So what are strategies that work for me? Momentum. So what happened was when lockdown was announced in March 2020. So of course, we feel panicky, and me and my team, we feel panicky. We didn't know what to do, because 99%, 100% of our services back then was all face-to-face training. Yeah. So when lockdown was announced and say, everybody go and download Zoom and do something with it, right? So I was very new in this. I only had experience recording videos. So fortunately, So, and then we changed. So even at the time, there wasn't much result, but I just tell myself, just keep doing, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. And it was until May 2020 onwards that gained more traction. So I launched a public program back then called Sales Breakthrough, and then turned into a corporate training program. So that time was having more inquiry, and perhaps that was quite right. So it was perhaps the momentum, the discipline, the habit of keep doing, whether you like it or not. Keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. So I was very consistent in doing promotional materials, talks for companies, validating with people, creating ebook, talking to people, previews, and just keep going the route of sales training in remote selling. So that was the one that caught fire. So if you ask me what strategy was momentum, commitment of doing that, whether you liked it or not, and is the ability of just sticking true to your commitment. Now, if I were to relate in the sales context, right, it's about really staying close to the heartbeat of the customers. Now, during pandemic is another cycle of business where there is a change in customer behavior. So I believe that sales is a result of an exchange of a value of a product. Yeah. So we earn money from selling something, right? So if people buy your product, means you earn money, full stop, period, right? So if people are not buying our product, which means our product is irrelevant. Hence, the next question is this. We talk about adaptability. What does the market truly want? What do they really want? So it's the ability to go down to the market, to really ask them, what do they really want? What is the change of behavior? What could we forecast? And how can we change our product and delivery? So it was a time that we started developing workshops, half day, 1 day, some went well, some failed miserably. So then we fine-tuned along the way, and we are glad to find a balance in that. So that was the launch of our Sales Breakthrough program, and that was the one that gained traction. So back to your question again, momentum, sticking to your commitments, do it whether you liked it or not, do it whether people is watching or not. And in the regards of business, I think it's about really staying close to the market.
Right. I totally find that's very powerful in terms of like having momentum and also being able to adapt to the market and to really give them what they want. So you see, like, when we talk about Wesley, especially in this crisis, people think that Wesley is doing extremely well right now. People think that Wesley has been super consistent. But what people don't actually realize is the hard work that you actually put in, and also the failure that you have gone through testing things out during this period until you eventually find something that works for you. So what have you tried during this period that doesn't work well for you?
Okay, I failed miserably in the B2C segment. Okay, I wouldn't say miserably. Then we realized that it wasn't a place that we want to go to. So we launched our Sales Breakthrough program, B2C, we ran preview, and it wasn't as much we expected. And then we came to a conclusion, you know what, I think that our style still suit the corporate training industry. So that was the one that didn't work. However, one is in terms of result-wise, it never really go to what we expect, but that spilled off a lot of inquiry for corporates. So if you ask me what didn't work out well, was that fortunately, we never lost money. We still make money where it was just lesser, wasn't what we expected. And then we realized it's not our call. Then we changed in a different segment. Yep.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So, so just I want to bring back to this point, right? Because you said that, in order for you to really go through this time, number one is that you need to know your goal, and then you need to have a system for you to reach your goal, and then you build up routines from that, right?
Right.
So, I just want to talk in terms of the system, right? How are you able to build up system, or what are some of the tips that you can share with the audience right now to build up the system so that they are able to make sure they are on the right track towards their goal?
Okay, so I could only share based on my experience in terms of sales, right? So let's say today, if you want X amount of revenue, right? We work back your sales cycle. So for you to convert X number of deals, how many people you need to present to? Now, in order for you to present the X number of people, how many people you will need to prospect? How many people you need to set appointment? So when you move backwards again, so how many leads you need? How many talks you need to give, how many people you need to speak to. So it's to work backwards. So once you get a variable, okay, so you come to a conclusion, you know what, for me to hit my goal, I need to deliver X number of training every single month. So you stick to that. From the X number of training every single month, how many calls you have to make? How many proposals you have to send? So that is how we work backwards to derive the system. Because a result, in a way, we can't control result. Result happens because of a manifestation of what you do. Result is what you get, action is what you do. I cannot control the result, but I can control the action that I take. So therefore, the system is the action and the routine, which works, that leads towards the results. So the law of cause and effect. So work backwards from there. Okay, now, okay, Wesley, I need to call 20 people a day. I need to do 2 Facebook Live a week. I need to send 10 emails. I need to talk to 2 customers every single day. So that is what I meant by the system. So it's to work backwards, to work on variables that you could control.
Right. I really love the fact you said that results happen as a manifestation of what you do. I think that is really powerful because in times like this, we can never control the result that we want. But one thing that we can control is the action that we want to take. So right now, let's just say you have a system, right? And then moving backwards again to the routine part, how do you actually perform that?
How do I perform the routine?
Yeah.
Right. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Because at the end of the day, right? So once you have a certain system, it's about committing to it. So whether you like it or not, just go do it. You like 20 calls or not, just go and do it. You like to send emails or not, you have to do it anyway. Because results comes from action, right? Results don't come from our procrastination or comes from our justification, right? It comes from our action. So it's the ability to commit to your task, whether you like it or not. It's really just about just go and do it. Yeah, so that's what I believe.
Okay, great. So so right now I'm thinking, right, in terms of like, especially in times like this, a lot of people, they are actually working hard on their career. They are actually struggling to make ends meet, but then they are working extremely hard. So
Right.
at the same time, as a performance coach as well, I always believe that life is about balance. Life is not only about your work, but it's also about your health, your relationship, your personal well-being as well. So I'm just wondering, in your own life, how do you actually balance up between these few things?
So a lot of people ask me about work-life balance. Wesley may not be the right person to answer this question. Okay, I work around the clock and I enjoy doing that. So my take is, so long as you enjoy doing that, it's what that you really like and you don't mind. Of course, I have a balance between health, time, family, and all, but I really enjoy overperforming, over-delivering, and that's what I like. Versus what is some people who work and yet they feel very stressed about it. I think that is even more stressful than working overtime. So, so I don't have a lot of work-life balance, to be honest. I really enjoy working. I enjoy sometimes when customers need to talk to me during the weekend. I'm okay, because I really don't mind to serve my customers, because I enjoy doing that. Personally, I enjoy doing that a lot. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right. So right now I can see some of the questions that is inside the comment, which I would like to address. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask Wesley, you can also drop down the questions in the comment as well, so that we are able to ask Wesley your question. Okay. So right now, I would like to address this question from David. David say, how do you actually know what is your best?
Hello, David. Well, how do I know what is my best? Okay, so one of the things that I have, knowing your best, is the ability to set a goal on what you want to do every day, and before you sleep, and you want to take off those action items, right? So I have this one habit that before we sleep, I want to ask myself, have I done my best today? Have I delivered my very best? Did I do all the tasks that I really set my mind to it? Did I do the best training for my client? Did I do the best training for my sales? So it's a reflection that I do every single day. And I would want the answer to be yes every single time. Even though I've done my best, ask ourselves, what can we do better? What could we improve for tomorrow? So to me, it's ability to tick off all your action items. And number 2 is whether have you stretched yourself? And it's always about pushing ourselves to the very best. So again, like what David said, it could be quite vague. I think it's a personal sensation, is the ability to tick off all your action items. So that's my answer to you, David.
Right. Okay. And I'm just wondering, like, because after every day you will evaluate your own self, you will evaluate your own performance as well. So do you have a list of questions that you really ask yourself every single night before you actually go to bed?
So all these credits to the mindset group, right? You know, you're there watching there. One of the things that I really have to reflect, number 1, is what am I grateful for? And it's such a powerful process, and you want to take stock of what has went well for the day. It could be little things, right? Your meal, relationship, somebody give you a compliment, or a project or a sales call, right? What have you done well? What are the things that are worth telling yourself, you know what, good job, Wesley. So what are you grateful for? Number two, what can you improve? What are a few things that you could improve tomorrow? Okay, so I think that this one can improve, this one can improve, and this one can improve. So these are the 2 daily reflections. What are you grateful for and what could you improve?
Okay, what are you grateful for and what could you improve? Okay, I think I totally love that, because I think being grateful is one of the best state that you can actually be before you go to bed, and even when you wake up, feeling grateful is one of the best state that you can actually be in. So Wesley, for me personally, I think I really learned a lot from you inside this session. And for those of you who are actually watching this, right, I know some of them, they are actually running their own business. Some are doing well, some are doing not so well. So what is your one advice for people who are actually watching this?
Now, another concept that I never brought up, which I truly believe, one is momentum, the other one is urgency. Now, of course, a lot of people, hey, you know what, I have goals and they commit to it, right? So another element that I learned through a very hard way was urgency. Urgency is how fast do you want to achieve that? So like me, I'm not too sure about you, but I was once a victim of lack of urgency because I thought that, hey, you know, I'm young, I got time to be successful, I could take my time to pursue my success. Until the year 2017, everything changes. And the reason why I say this is because in the year 2017, I lost my mom. So my mom passed away in January 2017, and she lost her battle to cancer, stage 4 lung cancer. So what happened was in the year 2015, it was during Chinese New Year. She was cleaning her house. And all of a sudden she complained, hey, got chest pain. So we thought that it was a normal regular muscle spasm, and we sent her to the clinic. After performing a medical checkup, there was a positive cancer marker. Doctor said, Auntie, you may want to go and do a proper scan. So I could still remember very vividly. It was an afternoon in Desa Park City Medical Center, 3 p.m. Me, my sister, my mom was waiting for the medical report. The doctor said, Auntie, you can come in. And as we entered the room, the doctor passed my mom her medical report. And the doctor said this, Auntie, I'm so sorry to tell you, you have stage 4 lung cancer. That was the first time in my life I felt I had a time bomb in my life. And I asked the doctor, how many more months can my mom live? 6 months. Untreated for 6 months. Thank God, because of there's certain treatment that she could do. She took chemo tablet. Instead of 6 months, she lasted 2 years. Everything was fine until December 2016. Suddenly, from the lung, spread it to the brain. And it was really bad. She started having memory loss. She started losing basic functions. And it was one time at home when I was feeding her. She asked me, who are you? Pain, very painful. And I can still remember until today, but you had to continue your responsibility. 13 January, 6 o'clock in the morning, she was gasping for air. We knew her time was to come. So we went there, we did our prayers. At 7:30 in the morning, she took her last breath. And I still remember until today, I was there by her side. Just before she took her last breath, she held my hand. She let go, and she gave me one last smile. The smile of a motherly love. That was the time that I truly understand this one thing called urgency. That I used to think I have a lot of time until this happened to me. And the reason why I share this story is because I think, besides the desire and craving towards our goal, is how soon, how badly, and how sure are you are going to achieve it. So it's about pushing your best day to day. It's about the ability, if I can do it, why not do it now? So this urgency is what I strongly believe in. And that's why once we have the opportunity, and just go and do it anyway. So if you ask me in terms of advice, I think that is what I would like to share in terms of urgency while we could have time, right? So we make use of our time, we commit to our tasks, we perform day to day, be consistent, have momentum. So it could be an invisible force to help you towards your goal. So my answer to you, Shu Yi, would be urgency.
Wow, I think that is a really inspiring story. For me, I'm personally touched with your story as well. And I think that that really changes how I view urgency. Because like for many people, they think that they have enough time, they can have the time they want to actually work on something. But I truly believe that if you really want to work on something, there is no perfect time. You need to start taking action now, which I think that is really powerful. Okay, because maybe you can wait, but then the people around you, they can't wait. So that is why I always believe that if you really want to do something, do it now, right? And Wesley, I really think that I love that advice of yours. Thank you so much for sharing this as well. So one of the biggest lesson that I've learned from you as well inside this session is that number one, to have momentum, right? To take action consistently, and number two is to also have urgency as well. So with that, Wesley, I just like to thank you for your time, and I'm sure that our audience here, they really enjoyed so much value from you. Okay, so with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you the next time. Thank you so much, Wesley.